What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to do some Pokemon content for you, and that's mainly going to be recent pickups, but with a little bit of an analytical twist, so stay tuned. And we're working with some pretty high-end cards here. So the first thing I'm going to show off is a pickup for my personal collection. This is the Blossom that I need for my Neo Genesis Unlimited set. This is in a PSA 9, even though I'm going for a mostly 8 set. Why not allow a 9 to squeak through? The reason I picked this up is because I got a particularly good deal on it, I would say. So I couldn't pass it up. There's a little bit of whitening in the corners, but very happy to add this guy to my collection. So I'll set him aside for now because the bulk of what we're going to be talking about lies in these two cards. Okay, one of which has been in my collection for a bit now, and the other one is one that literally was just picked up off of my porch. The first one being my PSA 7 Neo Genesis Lugia Holo. And the second being a PSA 8 Neo Genesis Unlimited Lugia Holo. We're going to compare and contrast these two cards to see which one makes the cut for my personal collection. And I'm going to sort of narrate my thought process to you just to see what sorts of things I look for in graded cards for my personal collection. Because we always hear this saying, buy the card, not the grade. Well, what does that actually mean? If you stay tuned, you might find out at least my take on it. So let's start looking at the backs first. And this card in the right hand is my PSA 7. The card in the left is my PSA 8. So first and foremost, let's look at the 7. Mainly a little bit of whitening up at the top, but the corners look great. Okay. The biggest thing that detracts from the back is definitely going to be that centering, top to bottom. It's much thicker up here at the top. Now, when looking at the PSA 8, sorry about that, the centering is not very detracting. It's much more consistent. However, you'll notice that there is whitening at the bottom right corner, as well as bottom right, I guess if we're looking at the front, as well as the top of the same side. And there's edge wear in the same spot as my PSA 7, though potentially a little bit more prominent. Okay. So overall, I would say that this card has stronger centering, but this card has much less whitening. And some of you might value these two qualities differently. I kind of don't really care that much about the back, so I'm cool with either of these. What matters to me much more is the front. So when looking at these two cards as a whole, particularly not the holo yet, looking at the card, you can notice that the one in the right, my 7, is much lighter, and this one in my left is much darker. This is more of a white, this is more of a gray. And that is reflected also in the Lugia itself. This PSA 7, particularly in the shaded areas, is much lighter than this PSA 8. The color in the 8 is much richer. Okay, so potentially it was exposed to less sunlight. I like that this is a richer color. Okay, I don't like this more faded look, although it's not really noticeable until you have a better example next to it. Now, here's the biggest thing for me, the holo foil. Okay, so looking at my PSA 7, we can spot some vertical scratches for sure, being slid in and out of a binder. And then also there's these weird splotch marks that are also present on my ungraded Meganium. These things bug me. So when I look at the 8, I noticed some vertical scratches. Some of these might be on the case itself, the PSA case. But there's definitely some scratches on the Lugia itself, okay? It's definitely not a perfect holo pattern. There's some vertical scratches likely from being slid in and out of a binder, much like this copy. But if you look carefully, there is no sign of that weird splotching. I'm a fan of that, okay? And the last thing that I want to look at is the prominence of the holo foil. So I'll get this card at a distance. Okay, it's pretty. I mean, that galaxy foil, it's hard to go wrong with. And then up close. Okay, and here's the 8. At a distance. And up close. Okay, I think that this one's a no-brainer. This card does not have a bad holo foil at all. Like, all around, this is a strong card. It's a near mint card for sure. But for me, some of the qualities like the richness of the color, that weird splotching on the holo foil, as well as just the part of the sheet that it was cut from, this PSA 8 to me is a much stronger card. Now, you might say that in the Battle of the Backs, the 7 might actually win, unless centering is just massive for you, more than whitening, because this 8 definitely has more whitening than the 7 does. But what I care about much more is the coloring and the holofoil. And for me, this PSA 7's holofoil is just a little bit too weak. There's nothing that really catches the eye. No big swirls, no orbs or anything like that. While this one is also missing a swirl, but it does have these large orbs as well as this little X that's present on the Cosmofoil. So for me, all around, the PSA 8 in this case is deserving of a PSA 8, though I think that in some strange way, this Lugia is, I consider it to be a strong 7. Okay, but when we're just looking at the cards and not the grades, there is a difference. And for me, I much prefer the qualities of this Lugia versus this one. So this PSA 8 Lugia will be joining my personal collection, while this one, unfortunately, we will be saying goodbye to. So I hope that you all took something away from that. This was a fun video for me to make, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And I look forward to hearing more from you next time.